Hi, everybody. Welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa, and I have been homeschooling, doing my community day, learning our curriculum for homeschool all day today. So my buddy Satoshi Sean has got my back today, but we're going to jump into a few things. So we'll be right back. Give us a like, share this video, and we're going to all get caught up together. So we'll be right back. Hey, Sean. Thanks so much for jumping in here and helping me out. I want to touch on a couple of things. I know we're going into what I believe is the next bull run, especially with what we're going to talk about a little bit later in the show. I've had several people, especially people, a few of my patrons have reached out to me that there are some people scamming or attempting to scam some of our friends and family. And they are using the comments section on YouTube, pretending to be me, Westwood, probably you, pretending to be people that are on the show or friends and family. One of the common ones, and I was going to see if I could find a example of this. It says like Litecoin Lisa pinned comment is like the name of the person commenting. And then it says, please send donations to, and it spells out a phone number with words.
Yeah,
for WhatsApp. Yeah, that is not me. If you guys would like to contribute to the channel, in the description, there are legit ways to do that. The safest one is to give directly to the PayPal through the link that is listed in the description, or become a member of the patreon.com link. And that way you can, and if you want to talk to me, that way you know you're talking to me because you're a Patreon member. And that way you know you're actually linked to me and talking to me. I actually had, there was a guy that when my husband was the GM at the Subaru store, we had a gentleman who's going to come on the show here in a couple weeks. And he had some Bitcoin that he had mined a long time ago. He's a doctor in the Dallas area. And when it got up around 10 grand, I think, he bought his daughter or daughters. I can't remember if he bought both the girls or just one, but he bought them a car. And I think my earpod just went out completely. Hold on. And he was gonna, and he came in and he bought them cars with Bitcoin at the dealership. And so we made a big deal out of it. And so then he was trying to get a hold of me, and I guess didn't have Twitter, or I guess I wasn't following him. Anyway, he wasn't able to message me. And so he got a hold of me eventually and let me know that these people on WhatsApp or using WhatsApp were trying to scam people. And so I just really want to look out for the community. And I think as we go into this next bull run, I know that happened in 2017. There was a lot of that. I'm going to try to swap out. I think I have overused this one earbud. I try to only use one because it like freaks me out to do both. But can you still hear me? Okay. I guess I'll use my microphone. So, oh yeah, I can hear you. Okay. So if you guys will just be really careful. Sean, what are some tips that you would give people? I know that a lot of times they'll do things like use a handle that's similar.
They're usually like, you can't tell the difference. And sometimes I'll look and I'll just think, I comment, and then I'm like, wait a minute. And I have to take a second look. But just if it's a comment, like usually people will make a comment like great video or whatever, and then they answer them. So you can't even see it unless you click to look. And then it's like,
go
hey,
to that
thanks
profile.
for the comment. Why don't you check this out? I'm making like 1,000% every minute. You should put some money into this. And then they put like a link or something. But click on the person and it'll take you to a different YouTube channel with like no subscribers or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's just click on it before you do anything, and it'll take you to a different place, and then report it. I had a different Twitter account that was a scam last week, and I think it was the Awakening, or somebody called it out and tweeted about it before I even saw it. And then there's Instagram. I get messages on Telegram for myself sometimes asking for money. So it's
I was going to say Telegram is also another place that we've had several people that are, friends, family members in the chat that have, like, you'll be in a help or support for a coin, and they will be watching. I don't know if they're bots or they're just scammers that are watching for people needing help, and they will copy like an admin's handle, something really close, like they'll turn an I into an L or something very similar, and then they'll DM them where it looks like an admin from the public chat is DMing you.
Yeah,
if it is
to watch out for. If you have legitimate problems with like an exchange, that's a real bad one.
in the public
I have a
chat.
problem. You go in there and like, hey, I'm having a problem with this deposit. It's taking too long. Then they'll message you, and that's like, okay, well, what's your private key, or what's this? We need to take a look at it, and that's really scary. So just then you go back into the main chat and say, hey, did someone in here, private message me and want, some information?
And never give them your private key.
Yeah.
And never send them any Bitcoin or other coin first.
Yeah.
Those are two huge red flags.
Those. Yeah. I've had a lot of fun with those. I still want to scam a scammer. I came close like so many times. Because I'll be like, I'll be listed on a project as an advisor or if one that I'm working on, and like the CEO will always message me, or someone that's involved. And they're like, hey, I'm trying to get listed on Binance, and I just need 3 Bitcoin. Send me 3 Bitcoin. And I'm like, man, you told me not to send you any money after you killed that hooker, and we had to pay the police off. I'm not sending you. And they're like, well, and I just have fun. Or I'll tell them, hey, it's a multi-sig, and I have to put at least a quarter Bitcoin in to release the funds to send you the 3. So send me that quarter Bitcoin so I can send you that 3.
Well, I can send you the other first.
Yeah, and I'm just waiting. Just come on, go ahead, give it to me. I'm ready to screenshot this and have fun. But I almost had somebody send it.
Too funny, yeah. So just a big warning out there to everybody. To look out for in comments on videos, in those chats, watch out, check the follow number, who's following. And then if you really want to have a conversation with or get in contact with somebody, then go join their Patreon channel that is verified. And there is a way that you direct message that person. Mine's $5, and this month my giveaway is my Litecoin shot glasses that DGB made. That are my little.
Those are cool.
Yeah, they're etched with the Litecoin on them. I think they're really cool. So we'll do the giveaway for. They also have a LTC on the bottom. I just realized.
Talking about scammers and giveaways, that's something that we have to deal with. Like if I do a giveaway, which I always give away crypto, I get like 3 or 4 people within minutes of the end of a stream on Telegram, and they're like, hey buddy, I won, everything's Chris C Maz there. I had like 3 or 4, and I know him, we talk like off stream and everything all the time. And they were like, hey bud. And I'm like, I know your Telegram.
Oh, so then the real person that won.
Yeah. And then I had one.
But then you'll get fake people that say, oh, I'm CMAS that won.
Every giveaway, at least 3. And I'm like, you have to go make a comment on that, the comment you won. And they're like, oh, I can't get in that email anymore. I'm like, really?
Sorry. It was that email that won. And if you can't get into it, then that email didn't win.
It's so ridiculous. And I had one guy, he's just like, yeah, you caught me. but can you send me some money anyway? Because I need money. I did send him some because he was very frank and upfront.
Stop.
Lee, my
You are
friend
such a softie.
Lee yells at me all the time, man, because I'm so bad.
My mother's like that. There's
So
one
bad.
girl that was scamming a lot of people in the Litecoin community, and my mom's like, but what if she's being sex trafficked and that's keeping her? I said, Mom, no. Then you're perpetuating it because you're encouraging her sex trafficker to keep her doing what she's doing. I said, so quit. Anyway, just really pisses me off. I cannot stand that kind of stuff. And Xavier, you know who you are. Anyway, we can move along.
What are we going to talk? There's so much to talk about. The market's crashing. I knew. I told everyone was going to do this. Everyone said market? This is it. We're going to run.
Not the crypto market.
We're going to have a huge pullback again. I mean, it's still going to be a great end of the year. We're going to have the great. We're going to have a Christmas pump.
Awesome.
We're going to have a Christmas pump. B&B's like going down to $300. This is a serious time to buy. But everybody thought once we broke 51,000 that we're going to.
What happened today? Okay, I've been in school all day. I had yesterday, like everything was going really great. I gotta hold on. I'm so behind, you guys.
Hey,
I'm not allowed to be on my phone on school.
Yeah,
days.
It was. I thought you were like just being silly. I didn't think you were really.
No, I'm dead serious. So
not allowed to be on your phone.
No, for homeschooling on Tuesdays is the day that we get all the curriculum because I'm the teacher. So we're there, and then you're learning all day with you and your student what you're going to be then teaching all week. So you're getting all your memory work, you're getting your science, your Latin, your English, your history.
History of Latin, English, all of it.
All of it in the morning. We do take a break at lunch, which was when I got that article that I sent you that Chris Marcus sent me in the afternoon. I snuck at lunch and I was like, what can I quickly
I told find? You my cousin, she homeschools and she just she gets a box at the beginning of the year with just all the curriculum. Like they have PE, she'll get like a jump rope or a ball. I mean it's like a prepackaged third grade first semester, whatever. And then
we really needed the so Cannon with losing Mia, he really needed the social outlet. And so we found this, and one of my girlfriends had told me about this, and the voice, this is what he uses. Also Glasswalker, who did my logo with Clint Westwood. There's several crypto people that use the same curriculum. And it really encourages critical thinking, public speaking. And so that really drew me to this curriculum. But so it has one day a week where you meet with your community group. And so they still have that kind of core group. He still gets to see kids because that was one of the big things with his migraines that he has in his stomach, which is an ongoing problem with us ever since Mia died. He has this grief issue where he gets a serotonin buildup and then he gets these migraines and then he's like retching and has migraines for 3 to 5 days and can't eat and it's a nightmare. And he's in a lot of pain. And then, so we're like trying to still have some social aspect and lessen that depression and grief and all that. And especially with what kids are facing right now. There was a stat the other day where I think it was in Australia and it was like deaths from, the great infection, 0, deaths from suicide were like, early on it was in the thousands or whatever. And so that's a real concern to me, especially with some of the medications he's on from his heart condition. So we're just trying to look at his total health with his emotional wellness, all of that. So this was a great option for us. It's a lot more work for me, but it's, I think, the best fit for him. So on Tuesdays, I have to be at school and I am not allowed to have my phone except at lunch. And so I feel very out of the loop. So when you're like, oh, the market is crashing, I'm like, what are you talking about? Yesterday, like, our pack nodes were killing it.
Yeah, everything is, you know what?
Everything was
It's weird that you bring up pack, because my portfolio was like 30 projects, all red, and pack was the only one that was not. It's gone down now, but it was it's the only coin that I'm in that was still in the green, but now it's even down. But everything is like, I mean, fast. Like BNB went from like 500 down to 410 today, just in hours.
Wow. Was it since lunch? Well, I don't know when that article came out, when that thing in China. I'll try to pull that up.
Since this morning, it's just been,
because I couldn't really. So was that from the news of what was happening in China?
Because no, that's one of the things that the article says. It's really not talked about, and the fact that it's not talked about makes me think that the Chinese government is trying to keep it under wraps, and so, which makes me think it's a lot worse than.
So can you catch everybody up, because I'm a little behind. I'm like literally just scanning, catching pieces, what we're talking about and what's happening. If you guys saw if you haven't seen my interview last night with Economic Ninja, please go check it out. I thought it was really great. He talked about China finding the recent oil reserves. What we talked about, the SDR and the IMF rubbing it in our face, what's been happening, and how quickly this can all go down. That, with Russia and the Saudis getting the protection from Russia, and then the Saudis and China, was it the Saudis and China or Russia and China making the deal in the yuan recently? Sorry, my brain is a little fried. I've been doing dangling participles and what are they called in math? The thing, exponents. So I'm trying to catch up. But all that is like basically taking the US dollar out of the game. Like, we are not the world currency anymore. That's pretty much what's going on. That's my understanding.
There's rumblings about that. I don't know. It seems like I'm thinking. I was talking to Kips today about it. I was like, dude, I think this is the actual beginning of the end. I'm seeing it now. So basically, China's having like a Lehman Brothers crash, like we did. That's what we were talking about earlier. For the past 20 years, China has just copied the United States, like from 20 years before. So they're just spending. They're throwing money around the world. They're buying, friends in Africa with the One Belt, One Road, all that stuff. But like, we were doing it against the Soviet Union, and we outspent them, but it screwed us up. We're like massively in debt, and we're, we just won the race. So they've put themselves in a really bad position, but everyone's in a bad position. But it looks like the collapse we had, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, is about to happen over there. That's what I think. I think it looks very. It looks like the chickens are coming home to roost. But the dollar is so weak now against everything, and everybody knows it. Everyone knows it, and I don't know. It's weird that, like you always say, it's like we're watching a movie. Mm-hmm. Everything is just so serendipitous. It's not like the world hates us because of what we did in Afghanistan. How we pissed on every other country that told us to not do that. There's Parliament censured Biden. There's lots of countries that are calling for our allies to just not work with us ever again. That we just can't be trusted. That and we're actually being called that we're not a superpower anymore. We're just powerful. That's what people are saying. It's this sentiment that we're not a leader. We're not a superpower anymore. We're just powerful. So it seems like we don't have anyone to back us up. There's no allies to kind of cover us.
Well, we weren't there for them. I mean, why should they be there for us?
But it's like everything now. We're like our friends aren't our friends anymore.
And when you said that earlier about
to me, like this is it. This is when stuff falls apart.
Well, when you said that earlier about China, 20 years ago made this plan, basically China has taken over. They made this plan, they talk about China plans in dynasties. We plan in, 4-year presidential cycles or whatever. But China made this plan to take our manufacturing, and they did. And now China has a middle class.
Mm-hmm.
And look what's happening right now to America. Nobody's working. We have no manufacturing. We're having shortages. There's the have and the have-nots. We're getting ready to have this, what is it, where they don't have to pay their rent anymore. We're going to have a huge homelessness problem.
I was waiting
all
for
the
this
Congress
to happen.
that are the haves, all the elite, all the corrupt elite are the haves, and then there's the people that have been put in the position that have been stolen from and used and extorted.
Well, the unemployment thing was bad. It was people got paid more to not work.
Mm-hmm.
And then the moratorium on rent, it was really screwing over landlords, and it was abused, and I knew this was going to happen, that it's all going to hit at once. People are going to get cut off with money, and they're going to get evicted. We're going to have, it's going to be like the Depression of old, except people aren't tough enough to handle that like they were back then,
Well, what I've heard is that the people that own the properties are evicting people under the guise of my family member is being evicted from somewhere else and they need to come stay here in my property. So they're evicting the other people and they're putting their own family in it.
And you saw that thing with Jen Psaki said, she said pandemic. That was so hilarious, dude. That was so
yeah. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
I don't know. It seems like
we're watching a movie. You can't tell me we're not watching a movie. Over and over, I think we are in the.
Said that
we're in the crack.
We're getting rid of the middle class. We're gonna. Then that's what America was built on. Because there always was the royalty, the aristocrats, and then there was the serfs, and we made this middle class of, people who could live a good life. They didn't rule over people, and there wasn't this huge. It was the middle class, and now we're kind of killing that. It seems like maybe that's the plan, to go back to that old way, which is a pandemic. The stuff in I don't know if you saw in France in the mall. You're muted.
I'm muted.
You're still.
Sorry. Hold on.
To address the global pandemic to regional.
What did you say?
To address the global pandemic. Global pandemic. Global pandemic.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
Global.
Too funny. Anyway, can't tell me we're not in a movie. It's just so blatant.
Did you see the stuff in France in the mall?
I did, where the police were running up the escalate.
Yeah,
Take it
that
away. There's
was
also
insane.
here's one of my other favorites this weekend. You know, we had lots of wonderful America's favorite pastime. Meanwhile, they're masking children at school, but
Oh yeah, did I send you that, or did you? I sent you that, didn't I? Yeah, I did.
I think you sent me this.
Yeah,
Did you
Newsweek, but that's what tripped me up. It's Newsweek
that?
that is reporting it.
Yeah. Oh, come on. Gotta have our ads. Oh, and there he is. Oh, boring.
I feel sorry for him. I really do. I really do.
I don't. He's not. That's not even him.
I do. I really do. The level of misunderstanding, because he's not a moron. I mean, he went out and said, "Oh, other countries are really happy with what we're doing in Afghanistan. Our allies are really backing me." He said that the same day that Parliament was voting to censor him. So he just has no clue of what's going on. People tell him stuff, and then put him out there in front of a podium, and it's abuse, man. It really, really is.
Oh, that's not really him. You can't tell me you think that's really him. He's got different earlobes. He looks totally different than him. It will not let me go past this.
That ad.
Yeah. But I did see it in different articles. It just sounded so good. I wanted to replay it.
What, the F Joe Biden chant?
Yeah. It was better. I don't even really like to watch football, but I watched a bunch of it. I loved it. I'll see if I can find it on my Twitter stream. I know I've retweeted it a few times. I was a fan of football this weekend. But there was packs of people, shoulder to shoulder.
Mhm.
No one was saying a word. Everyone forgot their mind. And then Monday comes, put masks on all the children.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just.
I'm sharing a.
Here's the other.
Was it you that sent me the stuff about the Wuhan lab?
No.
Oh.
I don't think so. This was the other thing. They were throwing rocks at Trudeau, and I thought of my favorite 17th letter, that they won't even be able to walk down the streets. That was a famous quote.
I'm going to send this to you.
Are you sending it private chat?
Yeah, click on that. It's a big deal. These are some papers that were just released about.
Oh, okay.
Goes along with the pandemic thing. It's where is it? So new details emerge about the C.
You know what? Yeah.
Virus research at a Chinese lab. More than 900 pages of materials related to U.S. funded research there was released following FOIA lawsuit by this newspaper. So we were, because we all know that this is where it came from, and they're starting to point the fingers at the China virus, and I think this stuff was it's going to come out that it really was kind of a joint effort. It wasn't just them. That's just what I think is going to happen.
Interesting. Lots of distraction going on. We're supposed to be hearing news. Wendy Rogers made a post the other day saying, like, please be patient. It's coming out with forensic audit. We have to go about this a certain way. the details have to come out. And so there's all this noise and distraction, and it's really interesting to watch this. There's also, we're coming up on
TPA.
the significant day in September, and there's, the documentaries that are coming out, and there's a lot of distractions on those. I was trying to find Spike Lee's documentary, and there's like every other documentary.
Well, remember, I sent you something a while ago. It was just what was it? It was about hurricanes. You remember that?
No.
Where is it?
In Twitter or in?
I think it was Twitter. I said it was a while ago.
I heard driving to school today that they're blaming the New Jersey governor or somebody that in the handling of the recent hurricane that they actually did more damage to New Jersey. So I think there's more and more of that kind of stuff that'll come out.
Here it is. Okay. So Katrina, that hit on August 29th, 2005.
Mm-hmm.
Hurricane Gustav, that hit on August 29th, 2008. Isaac, guess what day?
August 25th?
August 29th, 2012.
Sorry.
Hurricane Harvey, you'll never guess what day.
August 29th?
August 29th, 2017. And Ida, August 29th, 2012. Now, I'm no statistician.
Is August 29th a banking day or a...
I don't know, but that, in nature, there's nature is chaotic. There's never like a direct straight line. Nothing grows in a straight line. It's total chaos. The probability of that happening is not possible. And we've talked about, weather control and using, as a distraction, and I think as a weapon. It's not possible. I mean, if you're a critical thinking person and you see that put before you, it's obvious something is not right.
I'd be curious to know, the people that do numerology and things like that, what the significance of August 29th is.
I would like to know what the odds are of that happening.
Oh.
Of a ran over, I mean, what is that? There's something I haven't talked to you about, and it's really weird. A friend of mine, you really should.
How many events happened? How would I find that? How many, are they all hurricanes?
Yeah, they're all massive hurricanes.
Hurricanes on August.
Katrina, Gustav, Isaac, Harvey, and Ida. Also, if you're a student of history,
this is only four in 12 years. There's been 4 on August 29th.
What?
Is there a major link between major hurricanes?
5 with Ida. Ida makes 5.
Okay, so now there's 5.
Yeah.
Okay, so 5 that was since the 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21. So 12, 16 years, 5 hurricanes. I don't know. Somebody do the math. I've been at school all day. So that's a ratio of, how would we do that? How would we figure that? Oh, here, somebody's doing, Patty and Jim are doing 2 plus 9, 11, August 8th equals 19. Oh, Jim's got something. He's getting it.
Also, Vienna was attacked by the Muslim hordes, and the city was besieged. They had, conquered, was about to take over Europe. And they attacked Vienna. They surrounded it. They were about to win, and they attacked on September 11th. Everything has been September 11th since for hundreds and hundreds of years. That's a really cool story if you know what happened. So most all of the armies were deployed other places. Vienna was the center of Europe, and the emperor is there in Vienna. His priest that lives on the outskirts of Austria gets a vision from God. He goes to the emperor and lays everything out. We're going to be attacked, what the day is, and the emperor believes him. Tries to get troops to come back, but there's not enough time. The king of Poland, I think, got there with like maybe 200. It was not many men, but he had 10 cannons he brought with him. So then they get besieged, like 150, 200,000 Muslims attack, and they had like maybe 5,000 troops. They were done. So the king of I have a there's a painting. I have it in my living room from this. So the king of Poland says, "Hey, I'm going to be in charge here," and then the emperor's like, "No, I'm the emperor. No." He's like, "Okay, I'm going to leave with my 10 cannons, and you're on your own." So the emperor lets him be commander and says he's in charge. So the king of Poland, him and his like small tiny battalion that he brought with him, they have to go up the side of a mountain with 10 cannons. They lost like 3 of them. They couldn't even bring it up there. It's like this unbelievable feat. So they get to the top and they have like 5 or 6 cannons left at the top of this mountain. And then they rain down cannon fire, just crushing all this, because they had the whole city besieged. So, but they just rained down cannon fire and just start crushing all of these people. So they actually retreated and gave back the city and went back. So that's the only reason why Europe wasn't conquered then, was because one of the vision from the priest that allowed that the emperor believed and sent out for help, and then the Polish king came, and it was like the Alamo. I mean, which gets a handful of people, but since he was able to get up on this mountain, nobody could reach him because they were up there, and he was just raining cannonballs down, just killing everybody.
That's awesome.
And then there's a painting where I forget the king's name, but he's sending a letter to the Pope telling him what happened, and it's a really cool painting. I have it in my living room, but it's a huge painting. I have like a little, copy. But yeah, it's one of the coolest stories ever that I think. But anyway, I don't know how we got on.
Not heard that.
Yeah, because it all happened on 9/11. I thought that was weird that it happened on 9/11.
Well, so I wonder, when they're talking about like reversing and how all this numerology and astrology, all this is connected. So are those 2 dates significant, and they're playing this, these world wars against each other, and they're battling these 2 dates back and forth?
I don't know. Yeah, I heard something like this week where it was talking about, the bad people, the elite, and how what you were talking about, people, making plans that they think it's funny that people will measure success just in one lifetime. Like the plans that they make to conquer something or do something,
Right,
is not even in their lifetime. And it's just a completely different way of thinking. But that's also one of the reasons why they're very successful. And, we have to fix it. We're always fixing, the crap that they're messing up.
definitely. Oh man. I just I'm done for today. I gotta tell you.
I know, I'm so tired
I'm
too.
tired too.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully the market's gonna pick up. I
It
was
will.
all
It
excited
will.
because we were really like yesterday I saw it like it was going up over the weekend, crypto wise.
Yeah.
And then it kind of dipped. It looked like people took some profits. But then it was like going up again this
Well,
morning.
everyone was saying like this is it. Once we break 51,000, if we clearly, break through that resistance, this is the
then
run.
we're going
This
right
is it.
back
We're
up.
going all the way. And I was like, no, man, it's not happening. We're gonna have at least this, and it's gonna be big. And it's been big. I mean, Bitcoin's down like 12-13% today.
Mhm.
It was like 46,000 last time I looked.
Which
So
still the astrologer that we've been working with at SL and I've been working with, she said it's going to be this kind of like she called it like head and shoulders thing, like this seesaw thing, up and down, up and down, up and down, which makes a lot of sense if there's these. I mean, we're now in this institutional money. When you look at like an adoption curve, we were there for the early innovators and all that, and so we all kind of like were there, and then we got these runs. Now the big boys are playing, and so we're gonna see these things where like, oh, it goes up, and the big boys are now manipulating stuff. And so I don't think it's just going to be this moon kind of thing.
He was talking about we're going to go down the last big dip, and I was like, no, we're not going to go below a certain level. I said it's not like it used to be, dude. It's a different market now that institutional money's here. They won't let it. Like whales and other people, they can manipulate it, but they can't get it below a certain level because those people have to answer to all their mom and pop.
It's on their balance sheets of their businesses.
Yeah, so they can't let it go as low as it could go.
It's not going to go back to $3,000 or $6,000.
No, I don't think it's going to go. I don't think it's going to go below 18 or 20 even, because people were talking about 12, and I was like, no, it won't, because that would shake the confidence of these. It's really retail investors going through institutions. So that they won't let it happen because they've started this whole new industry and accepting crypto. And then also this week El Salvador.
Today is El Salvador's. Everybody needs to go buy $30 a Bitcoin to support what El Salvador is doing to free their people in their country.
I've been talking about this for years. There's going to be a fight. There's going to be a fight. And I think we're entering into that now. I think El Salvador, it's like a huge thing. A lot of other countries in South America. Brock Pierce, he's got like a Slack room with like 14, I think, prime ministers and presidents. They're all talking about crypto. And he's, Jeff McCabe from Divvy. There's a lot of leaders in the industry that are kind of forming this group.
I heard Jeff McCabe stepped away from Divvy. I don't know if that's
he did.
true or not.
He's not the CEO anymore. But he's still part of Divvy. But but he's working now with. There's this group of leaders. I think Joe Rotes. We were talking. Him and McCabe were talking about him, coming in on it because he's really, 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 really smart and Dragon Chain with the business aspect. And that's the thing. All these countries in South America want to utilize crypto, the whole, and blockchain, not just for settlement, not just for, money go up or number go up, not just for purchases, but they want the whole thing. They want to implement it because they can see that this is their, and I feel honestly that we're looking at a historic change in the center of the world. It was Latin America, it was Persia, it was Rome, it was Europe, was Greece. Now it's the it was the United States, and I think that it's going to be South America. I think South America is going to be a leader financially. It's going to be the center of the world technology wise.
I think it's a huge missed opportunity for the United States if they don't get on board. I mean, thankfully, Texas is doing some things like passing that recent, House bill.
Mm-hmm.
But if
there's mining companies,
change, they're going to miss out.
It's not just blockchain, but the whole industry with what Texas is doing. We have like 3 or 4 huge mining companies that have come in.
There was a big meeting with a lot of the oil and gas guys, big oil and gas guys or companies, and the big miners there in Texas. They had a big closed door meeting this last week or so, talking about mining from flares, and it was really exciting.
Yeah, full of hope. Berwick is doing something in South America or El Salvador before, because I was looking at property there. Because one of the places he was talking to this guy. There's a who's the evil family? The most evil family in the Rothschilds. There's a Rothschild that lives like
which one?
like 2 blocks from where this property was. I was like, you know what?
Oh, no, thank you.
If the good guys lose, it'd be good to have the property there just in case, so you're covered. But what was I saying? Oh, so Texas. There's a lot of stuff going on, which I wanted to get your opinion on it too, where states are kind of putting a line in the sand, and Texas is the biggest one, but Florida, other states about like with the mask mandates, schools.
Yeah, Oklahoma's doing it. They're just doing it quietly, which I think is really
they're saying just no.
Yeah.
And a lot of states can't get away with it like Texas can, because our Texas GDP is the 10th largest in the world by country. No. Our GDP is bigger than Brazil. So, I mean, we're not a
you
welfare
could be
state.
Self-sufficient. Yeah, you could step away. Yeah,
but we're not a welfare state, which means that we give more money to the federal government than we get. So they can't hurt us financially. They can't do anything militarily. And we're basically saying, it's like the way it was. States' rights was important.
That's the way it's supposed to be, though. I mean, it's the same way that really the Bible and has been twisted and turned upside down, like where people have like said, "Oh, separation of church and state," and that means that you can't pray in school. No, that's not what that means. It means that your teacher can't tell you need to believe in Jesus or you need to believe in Muhammad or whatever.
The separation of church and state was implemented not to keep the church out of government, but to keep the government out of church.
Exactly. And that's where it's been defiled and flipped on its head. And that's the same thing has happened with our government, is that instead of what the Constitution and the way our government was set up and intended by our founding fathers was to restrict the government, to have small government, to have less government, and to have people's rights and states' rules and rights, and to restrict local government and to restrict, instead has been turned on its head. And we look at our DC leaders and we look to the leadership of our country.
Servants.
Right. But they're not. Yes, they're supposed to be servants to us. And that's why people were faulting Trump so much and saying, why isn't he doing something? Because he was following the Constitution. He was waiting for the governors, which the city mayors were supposed to be listening to the people and saying, what do the people want? And then when the mayor needed help, the mayor was supposed to ask the governor and say and the governor was supposed to go, oh, hey, I'm doing all I can, but I need help from then the president. So that's the way it was supposed to go. It wasn't supposed to be the president going, you need to do this.
Yeah, so much is just like you said, the opposite of what's supposed to be. The military is not supposed to be peaceful and do all that kind of stuff. They're supposed to kill people and blow stuff up. The government's supposed to just protect your rights, not infringe on them or give them to you or decide what you should have. It's weird, and we're not a democracy. That was the beginning of when stuff
We're a
was getting
republic.
twisted. We're a republic. A democracy is just mob rule. That's all it is. That's when you get slavery. That's when you get bad stuff. If you can get enough people together to say, let's do bad stuff. No. And if you get enough people together in one place, then they can regulate and tell you what to do across the country in a completely different place. No. Now we're supposed to be like the EU. We're a bunch of 50 different countries that come together for a common goal, common belief, all that, but completely separate, completely different cultures. Which it used to be that way. Gay marriage has always been legal in like
Right.
in like
It's
3
just
states.
it's just not accepted by the church.
But no. I mean, it was illegal in most states, but it was always legal, I think, in Connecticut and Vermont and other states, and it has to be It was recognized by every state. That's the thing. You may not allow it in your country, in your state, but if someone goes and gets married in Vermont and they move back, that they're married. That's how it should be. That different states can govern themselves.
And choose
And with
what's
the
right
gun,
for
the
their
gun
state,
thing in
for their
Texas
local
now.
government.
In Texas, you can carry a handgun open, concealed. You don't have to have a permit. You don't have to have a training. You don't have to have a safety course, which I wish people would still have to have a safety course. But it's always been weird that if you had a concealed carry permit in Texas, which is just money, you just have to really.
Well, and that's actually just tracking people. So that's the other thing. In Oklahoma, we had concealed carry, and that it actually violates your rights as an American citizen because they're tracking who has a gun. That's what concealed carry does. They have a list now of who
Trump
has a gun.
talked about doing was making it so if I had a permit,
because we're already all covered under the Constitution for owning a gun.
Yeah.
Second Amendment.
But
so that's
like
where
if I own a gun and I have a permit and I'm, completely legal, I can't take that to another state. If I, go on a road trip to New Jersey and I have my gun with me, I can get arrested. And I'm like, here's my, my concealed carry permit. It's like, no, that's
but it's only good for that state. Yeah.
That was something that Trump was going to, which I was looking forward to it. And that make silencers so that you didn't have to pay the tax. Well, I think it's like $400 you got to pay per silencer. Under was the Hearing Protection Act that Donald Trump Jr. was the one that actually was worked on that. Which people think that silencers are illegal. People think machine guns are illegal. They're not. You just have to pay a $400 tax on each one that you buy. So it's just money, which is just another thing that is meant to so that poor people can't have the same thing that everyone else does to defend themselves, which is not. That's not fair.
I also think it was just to track people and have a list, and then they know when they get ready and once they have their ducks in a row to put enough false flags in place to be able to take away our Second Amendment rights, then they have a list of where to go pick them all up. Is what I think it was about.
Well, that's a part of it, but I don't know. But now in Texas, everyone can, but that's the thing. If the federal government says, and they're like, no, you have to do this. We're just, no, we're not.
No, we don't, because our state is constitutional carry. Yeah.
But what I thought was a really big deal and you can tell because it's a massive thing and the press doesn't talk about it. Governor Abbott said, we will not allow the federal government to infringe on the Second Amendment rights in Texas. And then he leaned in and said, or any other state. So to me, that was him saying, we will not. We'll fight the federal government if they try to restrict the Second Amendment rights of anyone.
Good.
And the stuff with it's a weird time. We're defying the federal government on every level, openly. The military is defying the federal government in the chain of command. They said there's no more rescues. The military could not leave certain areas to go out and get Americans. And
Well,
then
now you're having private citizens like
went over
Pineapple
there,
Express, yeah,
which is a big deal. Okay,
or
but
Pineapple.
the military there in Afghanistan defied the orders and supported them and went out and helped them with rescues. That's the biggest story there is, and that's not talked about. There talks about how the high ups are complete, pansies and just are bowing to political pressure, and how the Pentagon has become completely political. But I mean, there's commanders on the ground that defied those orders from the commander in chief and from the Joint Chiefs. That's never happened in my lifetime. I can't think of any time.
Well, there's also a lot of, I saw over the weekend, there were several, I don't know if that they were officers, but I saw several reports of servicemen and women who were stepping away because of the mandates. And so there's that devolution. Not only FEMA came out with their announcement, where they're making a devolution plan for emergency fire rescue because of the great infection. They're already seeing that they're going to get to a point where they're not going to be able to have services of fire, emergency rescue, all this. So they're making a plan where our services are falling apart in the country. And then now you're seeing our military stepping away and stepping down because the jabs being forced. And so they're stepping away from their careers, so all of that is happening too.
Consensus has been moved. It's not going to be in New York. It's been moved to Austin. And I was talking to Rice about that.
Why Austin? Austin is so liberal.
Well, but it's also it's a tech center, and it's a divided city. It really is, because it's the capital of Texas, but it's very, very liberal because all the Californians.
It's very liberal.
But like Rice said that he was supposed to speak at Consensus, but he wouldn't be allowed in the building in New York because he's not going to get the stick. So you can't, and then that's money. That's where governors have to see that they're going to lose tourism. They're going to lose business conferences and all that if they're not inclusive. I mean,
well, and businesses themselves. I mean,
they're going to Florida. They're going to go to Texas. They're going to go to where there's freedom. So that's the way it is, man. And you talked about
go woke, go broke. Everything woke goes.
We're talking about
isn't that what Trump said?
Australia.
Oh yeah.
It's so blatant where it's not about health. It's not about it. They had one. Not death. They had one infection. They had one case, and they locked everything down. They were killing all the dogs and cats in rescue shelters. You didn't know that?
No.
Oh, it's terrible. Okay, so here's the thing. So Australia, it's a prison colony again. Citizens aren't allowed outside of their house. Except for 1 hour a day, and they have to go be within a quarter mile of their house. Now they instituted a law where they get a text at random times, and they have to take a selfie and text back the selfie to prove that they're in their house or where they're supposed to be. They have 15 minutes or else they're arrested.
Okay. We have friends in our chat that are from Australia.
Good.
I haven't seen them in a while.
But listen to the dog thing. So even in counties where there's no,
I'm just not believing this is really happening.
oh no, you got to look it up. The
I
government
know, but send
said
me a
that
link.
they wanted to euthanize all the dogs and cats so that people wouldn't have the idea to go adopt a pet for companionship.
That is sick.
So that was like a huge thing. It's nuts. It's nuts. So, but it's obvious that it's not about the jab. It's not about the sickness. They had one case, not a death. And they're trying to take this much control.
Okay,
The government
I know it was in the news, Mom. My point is, I do not believe the news. My point is,
had a big
it's
press
over in
conference.
Australia, and none of us can prove it over here. So I'm wanting our friends that actually live over there.
Yeah, I talked to Darko. From Crypto Tonight. And
Okay,
he told
that's what
me-
our friends that actually live there. I want them to
He told
tell
me
us.
it's nuts. It's real.
That is insane.
But the thing is that they are like they don't understand why people think it's a dystopian nightmare. They're like, everyone accepts it. He goes, we don't think it's weird here. And that's a whole different thing. I've been thinking about the psychology.
How much fluoride is in their water?
Well, they gave up all their guns.
Right.
And I think that changes the way people think, like the zeitgeist of a country. Like you can have an anti-gun person. They could hate guns. They don't think anyone should have guns. But if they're in a store and they know that I have one, they know that if somebody comes in, I'm going to defend them as well as everyone else. And whether they're in the back of their mind, they know that. So the way that they live their life, the way they talk, they have that security. And I think when a country gives up that way to defend themselves, even if they don't, to know that that's an option and to know that there's people that will do that, it makes you think differently. Because if you don't have a weapon and you don't know anything about guns, you don't know anything about explosives, any of that stuff, you know that the government is not going to push too far because other people do. If we in America, in the United States, if we didn't have that that security, just to know that other people could, it would be a different way of thinking. We wouldn't.
I have to agree with you because I'm telling you, like, taking my son out of, I think part of the reason they chose to put this walk-in COVID, strep, and flu testing and clinic walk-in for strangers in an elementary school, they chose the elementary school because they're young parents. And they specifically did it. The guy that I talked to said, no, he didn't even tell his wife, who is a teacher at the school, because they snuck it in on everybody so they wouldn't protest and wouldn't figure it out. And it would just hurry, and school started, and it just happened to them, and nobody would fight over it. And then, well, it just happened, and and they wouldn't throw too much of a fit. And it just, well, it's already there, and we're just going to school, and we need to get to work and whatever. And it's like, they do things to people that don't know that they can fight back or are like, and I think that's why they chose this elementary school, because they're young parents. If you had pulled that crap on some middle school or high school parents who had been in the school system for a while and knew they had rights and knew I'm calling this person, or I have a friend at the school board, or I had been in the game for a while and knew they could push back, I don't think it would have gone down like that. But these new mommies that don't know they can stand up for themselves didn't have a clue. And so when you're saying that, and I think it's making me think of, if you guys haven't watched this movie, it's an old movie, but it's completely insane, but it's a lot of what we're going through right now, which, also you can
It's called
Your own.
1984.
Well, there's a newer one than that that's weird. Demolition Man. Wesley Snipes, Sandra Bullock,
Sylvester Stallone, Dennis Leary.
Sylvester Stallone, yes, Dennis Leary.
Yeah.
They're all having. They don't touch. No one touches. They go
Yeah.
hello, and they don't touch. They have
3 seashells.
meetings. Yeah, the 3 seashells to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
They have meetings where it's their face on the back of a chair, and they're in conference rooms. They're all having conference calls. They don't have sex, touching each other. They don't exchange bodily fluids. That's in a lab. That's how they have a baby in a lab. They, the whole thing is like, it's what we're living right now. And it's because they don't want us to have that connection with each other. Anyway, watch Demolition Man. It's
So
bizarre.
this is something very odd. It's crazy. And I'm a student of history, and we talked about, and I was talking about how, everyone says those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it, then they repeat it, and how every empire, whenever they got to this point, it never turned around peacefully. But I've noticed that when it comes to the fall of an empire, there's a pattern. And you can look at like the art of Greece, of Rome. Everyone gets more decadent, and then everyone gets more separated. And then there's a selfishness and a blurring of the lines between male and female of gender. Always, you look at the art.
He was just getting so good. Wait. You cut out. Wait. You cut out. You said there was a decadence and a selfishness, a selfishness, and then a blurring of
gender.
Oh,
there's a blurring of gender.
We're
a
clearly
lot
there.
more. You look at like Egypt. You can look at like I said, Rome, Greece, a feminizing of men. More selfish and less moral females. That always is part of it. And a friend of mine sent me this thing about this experiment, and this blew my mind. This started back in the 1970s. It's called the Universe 25. The Universe 25 experiment. And this guy, he took a bunch of mice and he made a utopian society for these mice. And the same thing happened. There was actually homosexual mice, but in the end, they all died. They would become cannibals even though they had food. And it took like 2 years. But this happened, and I thought, I never looked at it scientific. I always saw it, the pattern in history. But he did it 25 times over 50 years, and every single time it was the same results. So you should look it up. It's a Universe 25. Yeah, let me.
That is bizarre.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see that as you're saying that when you think about like the Cleopatra thing and the men like getting really vain and putting the makeup on and whatever. I'm trying to think of that again in history. Biblically, the whole Sodom and Gomorrah thing.
Yeah, here I'm sending it to you.
Back.
I sent you just the article there.
Okay.
But that laid it out, and that it blew my mind. It was a scientist named Calhoun. The Paradise of Mice, specifically died in space
now.
where rodents had an abundance of food, water, as well as large living space. In the beginning, he placed 4 pairs of mice in a short time. They began to reproduce, resulting in the population growth rapidly. However, after 315 days, their reproduction began to decrease significantly. When the number of rodents reached 600, a hierarchy was formed. Now, there's weird stuff was formed between them and the so-called wretches. Wretches appeared. They're larger rodents, and they begin to attack the group, with the result that many males begin to collapse psychologically. As a result, the females did not protect themselves and in turn became aggressive towards their young. As time went on, the females showed more and more aggressive behavior, isolation elements, and lack of reproductive mood. There was a low birth rate and at the same time an increase in mortality in younger rodents. So a new class of male rodents appeared, the so-called beautiful mice, and they refused to mate with females or to fight for their space, as all they cared about was food, sleep. At one point, the beautiful mice and isolated females made up the majority of the population. According to Calhoun, the death phase consisted in two stages: the first death and the second death. The former was characterized by a loss of purpose, which is like what we're going through now, in life beyond mere existence. So no desire to mate, raise young, or establish a role within the society. As time went on, the juvenile mortality rate reached 100%, and reproduction reached zero among the endangered mice. Homosexuality was observed, and at the same time, cannibalism increased despite the fact that there was plenty of food. So 2 years after the start of the experiment, by the last baby of the colony was born. By 1973, he had killed the last mouse in the universe 25. Calhoun repeated the same experiment 25 more times. Each time the result was the same. So his scientific work has been used as a model for interpreting social collapse. And his research serves as a focal point for the study of urban sociology. We are currently witnessing the direct parallels in today's society: weak, feminized men and with little to no skills and no protection instincts, and an overly agitated and aggressive females with no maternal instincts.
Interesting.
Yeah, like I said, I'd seen that kind of stuff in a broad view through history, but to hear it in a scientific study over 50 years and 25 times, and each time is the same thing, that really blew my mind.
It's interesting. Well, and the whole, like, just him talking about like the whole 2-year thing, because that goes along with who else was talking about that? Oh, my brain is so fried today. I'm thinking of the C60 studies, and then them being like living longer, and then Uncle Cliff talking about other studies. Anyway, I'm thinking about other studies with mice. Sorry, distraction.
But it's people are so irrational now. It's not just the absence of critical thinking. It literally is insane. It's like the government's terrible. I don't trust the government. They should be in charge of everything. The government makes all the problems. The government screws everything up. The government needs to be in charge of fixing everything. It's like, everyone can see the
there's no logic in that.
Oxymoron, but they still keep spouting it and going in that direction. It's
well, that's like saying it's all your fault, now fix it. Blaming the same person that you're asking them to create the solution.
Trusting the same person after they've screwed stuff up so many times.
Yeah. No, that's where we talk about so much, having this is time for personal responsibility for our safety, personal responsibility for our wealth, personal responsibility for our health. this is, and this is the time where like, you're either going to do that for yourself or you're not. And there's consequences both ways. And everybody, whether you want to accept those consequences or not, you're going to face those consequences. So,
there's no personal responsibility anymore. People just have excuses, and I don't know.
I think this is where I think that's where we are though right now, is that people, whether you want to face it or not, whether you want to choose it or not, you're going to face it. I think that's where, with the economy being in the position that it is, as this thing fails, it's not going to be whether you want to or not. You're not going to have the choice. You're going to face it. You're going to see those consequences, and either you've chosen to prepare and you've chosen to accept responsibility for your health, for your wealth, for your safety, or not, and it's going to play out. So,
yeah, and that's something that people haven't had to do.
Yeah,
is to have, we said you'll learn eventually when you go out in the world, and people have been able to not have to deal with consequences, but It's getting to the point where everything's falling apart. Everything is starting to fall apart, and people are going to have to start taking responsibility, and if not, they're not going to make it.
Yeah. Well, I'm so thankful for everybody in the chat, and I'm thankful for you, Sean, coming on here and having my back, especially on Tuesdays when my brain is not exactly working so well. I'm super tired.
Yeah.
I'm super tired. So I'm going to go get something to eat. I'm also like doing this whole fasting thing. So I have like a cup of coffee in the morning, and then I drink water all day. So I'm going to definitely go have some dinner and spend some time with my husband and have a great day. But I really appreciate all of you guys in the chat. Sean, thank you so much for having my back. And we will see you guys tomorrow on Woo Wednesday. Be sure to join the Patreon so you can get in on the shot glasses. The very first link in the description is a link to the tickets for the Texas Meetup event. We still have some tickets. Once again, that's going to be a super exclusive event. It's just me, Pimpy, my hubby, John Kim, Mitch from Crypto Campfire Podcast, and we are going to be at Legacy West in a private room. We'll be streaming the happy hour event. There's only 75 allowed in the room, but that also has to include our bartenders and staff and security. So we're going to have hors d'oeuvres, beautiful skyline of downtown Dallas, and then we'll have some after party stuff. That's an open bar, hors d'oeuvres, and a great time with friends. And so hopefully everybody can make it there, check out those tickets, and we'll see you guys tomorrow because I'm so tired.
Take care, y'all.
Grab something to eat. Love you guys. Take care. Bye.